And for you just joining us again, yes, we've started. This is after 12 weeks of pretty much adhering to shelter in place and giving us an opportunity to just reflect and absorb what's going on and actually just giving thanks. But today's no different. We're back and we're ready to roll, coming to you live in studio here at Radio Cayman. In our first segment this morning, I'm pleased to put the spotlight and hear more from the Cayman Food Bank, and I'm quite sure that we have heard all about what they've been doing during the lockdown and how they're making a big impact on giving back to Cayman. And I'm having a conversation with Operations Manager, Mr. Philip Heyer, as we learn more about the food bank, dispel some myths, just understanding what's the difference between a bank and a pantry, any confusion that may have been heard or perceived because you just don't know the facts, how it works. We hope that by means of this conversation this morning that you'll have a better understanding and more so at the very end of it, be more inclined to donate to this cause. Good morning, Mr. Heyer, and it's a pleasure to have you on our show.
Good morning, Sabrina. It's a pleasure to see you again. I haven't seen you for quite some time. I guess because of COVID-19, everybody's all locked away in their own corner. But it's nice to see we are coming out again. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
It is our pleasure, and I'm excited to hear all about going on with the food bank. But we're going to go back into some history so that we can set the ground to understand what this is. And I know that you have a long history of being a civil servant. People who are young enough as me will know you in a police uniform back in the day, and here you are heading it up. But before we go into the history of the Cayman Food Bank, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a former police officer and also used to be the head of the Cayman Islands Cadet Corps. And after retiring from the police, I say retiring from the police service, I didn't say retiring from work.
Exactly.
I do not believe in just being stagnant or not working. I retired from a profession, but I continue to work. Mm-hmm. There's always something to do. And my children, I migrated to the United States for 6 years. And while I was there, I was involved for the Water for Life Now ministry. And it's a nonprofit organization that deals with giving water, just a bottle of water, to the homeless. And it grew into an organization that people started donating food, started donating money, started donating clothes, and people saw the need of what we were doing.
Yes.
And my sister was actually the founder. We were one of the founding members. Mm-hmm. And that was started in Tampa, then it went over into Fort Lauderdale area. And it got so big, it got bigger than us. We had to actually link with another organization and distributed the things. They were coming in our living room, was so filled with clothes and all the food, and we just had to try our best to get it out there.
Right.
But on the whole, I don't like to reflect too much on myself, but I'll say this is that I've always been one to give back, whether time, money, whatever it is, a smile, an helping hand to anyone that is in need. And so here am I today to talk about the food bank.
That's right. We want to get more into that. And Thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself so people will understand the person behind, and they may hear, oh, that's Philip Heyer. But now you get a little insight of who he really is, and thank you for that. So give us some background information on the Cayman Food Bank, why it was established, and the ultimate goal for the organization itself.
Yes, there was a man by the name of Charles Boucher. He was a pastor of the First Assemblies of God Church. And he's from Canada, and he used to be involved in the food bank in Canada. Mm-hmm. And what inspired me about Mr. Boucher is that he told me a story once. He was quite a wealthy man, and one day he saw some men standing in a food line for food at a pantry. And he was a little annoyed. And he said, look at these men, they can work, and why are they in a line? They should go out and get a job Mm-hmm. Until one day, he found himself in that line, and his old perception changed about it. Well, having come into Cayman to live, he saw that a lot of food was being wasted, because it's been expired, because a tin is dented, whatever the situation. And he approached Mr. Woody Foster, mm-hmm. Who is one of the founding members as well, and Mr. Choppy Delapine. And we have Mary Eden, who's also a founding member. And on the board, we have Naomi Law. And they're all doing a great job as the board of directors into helping to steer this organization. Mm-hmm. And he went to Mr. Foster and he said, why don't we establish a food bank? And bear in mind, there was no food bank because people misunderstand the concept of a food bank versus a pantry, which I'll get into as we go along. And Mr. Foster, being the kind-hearted person he is and caring about the community, he agreed and he said, go ahead. And so Mr. Boucher did the groundwork and here we are today with a food bank. Okay, food bank.
Yeah, tell us the difference between that, because we don't want to, you don't want to think you're reinventing the wheel, so to speak, with organization doing things or how you understand what a bank is from a pantry. Why would you do it again? But there is a difference between a food bank, which is what you're doing, and a pantry. Please explain that.
And rightfully so. I can understand how some people may think, why another pantry? But you have to recognize it's not a pantry. And also, you have to also recognize that even though we have different charitable organizations, they target different groups of people, like Meals on Wheels.
Right.
They target the older folks with special needs and so forth. Then we have Feed Our Future. They target mainly the children. And we have the Crisis Center for women who are in distress and so forth. And the mentor, I guess we tend to say women, but men are also in distress at times. And so each organization, they're unique in itself, that they target a different group of a different segment of the society. The food bank on a whole, we are not reinventing the wheel. What we do, we gather the food from wherever and we take it to the location, which is the warehouse. We sort through the goods and we see what's good for human consumption and what is not good at all. But if we, I use my discretion along with the volunteers. And then what we do, we distribute to the pantries. But initially when we started, there were not enough pantries in all the districts. So we started out with people coming to us at 51 Sleepy Hollow Road. And we would not turn anyone away. People were coming out daily. Once they heard about it, they were coming out almost every day. It was overwhelming for the workers and the volunteers. And so we were given as if we were a pantry.
Right.
And so when I came on board, my first thing was to establish pantries in all the districts, in West Bay, a couple more in Georgetown, in East End, Bordentown. And now we are in the process of establishing one in Northside. I must say that during COVID-19, so as to streamline people, we had it on one main location, which is 195 Old Crew Road, the First Assembly of God. And I must thank Pastor Bob, his board, and the church, their members, for allowing us to use that location. And that is ongoing. And Mary Eden, one of the board of directors, she oversees that operation. And so a food bank is different, distinctly different from a pantry. We give to Meals on Wheels at times. We give to Feed Our Future. We have given to the Crisis Center. We have given to anyone who is in need.
Okay, so that I hope that explains exactly the difference of what you're doing and the difference between a food bank and a pantry. Now, what does it take to keep a program of this nature in operation, and especially with COVID-19, how has it impacted your operation, if at all?
Yes. By the way, just to give another background on the food bank, we started in December of 2017, and then we organized the warehouse, painting, and then we actually started giving out in February of 2018. But one of the things that has impacted us most is the fact that so many people are in need. And a lot of people would see someone driving a nice car and think, oh, that person doesn't need food. But that person have a loan, may have lost a job, or one person in the family is working and just ends cannot meet. But what I found, in order for us to go forward and to really operate efficiently, it could not be done without the generosity of the community. It could not have been done without the volunteers who work tirelessly, expecting nothing in return. So I want to thank the people of the Cayman Islands. I want to thank everyone who was given in one way or the other, whether small or large. Everything counts, because a food bank, we are not self-sufficient.
Right.
We depend on the generosity of others to survive.
Now, If you're just tuning into Radio Cayman, good morning. This is Radio Cayman's Business Buzz, and our topic this morning with our first guest, Mr. Philip Heyer, Operation Manager of the Cayman Food Bank, is exactly that, the Cayman Food Bank, telling us what this organization is all about, its impact on the community. And, the whole thing about the Cayman Food Bank is it is to really core hunger relief. It is that type of organization working and hoping to alleviate hunger and malnutrition here in the Cayman Islands. But how are you able to really assess those persons tapping into your services or the many pantries to ensure that it's genuinely needed? Understanding that who we are, we have seen and we have heard the stories during the shelter in place where persons are genuinely in need, especially our Caymanians, and are ashamed to actually come for help, to join the queue. And then you're hearing, oh, it's not the Caymanians out there. It's the foreigners who are just, again, tapping another resource, and we, the Caymanians, can't get anything. Because of this stigma, I shouldn't be seen in a food line. What would you say to those persons, understanding the process, what it takes? How are you able to genuinely prove that persons are really in need when they come and join the line?
That's a good question and good point of reference there. First of all, it's very humbling for anyone to be in a food line. So first of all, if someone is in a food line, it takes a lot of humility to go in a line to know that everyone is out there looking at you. So I do empathize with those who are in line. And as it relates to Caymanians, you have to recognize that a lot of our persons who come were referred to us by NAU. And NAU does a detailed screening. And because the process going through government to get food vouchers or any needs or help can be very tiring. It takes some time, and I do applaud the government for what they're doing. It's not a criticism, it's actually they're doing what is right. So by the time they come to us, and especially when someone from NAU need assessment unit, that means comes to us, we know that they're well vetted already, and we are just filling the gap until they are able to access what is what can be given to them. As it relates to non-Caymanian and Caymanians, you have to recognize we're in a society that the culture is so diverse. And if someone is here legally, like for example in COVID-19, and we are dealing with human beings, and everyone who is affected has the right to come for help. We don't discriminate, but we would like to see Caymanians on a whole and not to feel ashamed. In every country that I know of, if not all, there's a place whereby if someone is in need, they can go to for assistance. It will be really sad to know that you're in need of food and it is there and available, but you're starved to death. And another thing that I want to highlight, not just people coming to us, but also we have a lot of children. I think, that's something that we will address during this show. There are a lot of children who are at home because of COVID-19, and there's a lot of more strain on the family, the budget, than if they were in school.
I know, because I've heard parents with 3 and 4 kids, and they're like, oh my gosh, they're eating all day. It's constant.
Eating and growing.
Exactly. But it's just that entire stigma that comes along. It's like you're ashamed, and I don't know if a lot of it has to do with the size of our island, that everybody knows everybody, and what one perceives one as being because of where they work, how they put themselves together, where they drive. Well, that person shouldn't belong in a line. And then there's this shame that comes along with it. And, I would hope that if anyone out there today is hearing us and finds themselves in this position, that they don't let that feeling or that so-called labeling that comes along with going and seeking assistance stop them from being and getting access to food.
That's correct. You see, as human beings, what I find, Sabrina, is that we look at the outward appearance.
Exactly.
Someone may put themselves well together, but they could be starving.
And you don't know what they're
carrying.
carrying.
Someone could be in rags, and they are millions.
Exactly.
So we need to take the stigma off of judging people just based on their remove it, than based on their appearance. What we found out, though, initially when we started out, yes, there may not be as many Caymanians coming out initially, but now I find that people are beginning to understand that
Yes.
we educate and
Yes.
we're in the media and let them know that we are here to embrace everyone who is in need, genuinely in need.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things, though, when we say genuine need, I want to emphasize, we don't want people doing what's called double dipping.
Yes.
You know, they go to Meals on Wheels for Help, they go to Feed Our Future, they go to a pantry in West Bay, and then they go to a pantry in North Side.
Yes.
And then what that does, that cause our resources
Shrink.
to shrink, and then we can't help as many people as we want to. So
Yes.
that's why it's so important. People sometimes don't want us to take information, and that's why it's important to have the information so we can. While we don't give it out to other organizations, within our organization we can do a database system which we're in the process of setting up. So if someone go to the pantry in Northside, we're still linked to the food bank to know that that person is already getting help in West Bay.
Good.
And
So
that's
you all
very important.
communicate.
We do communicate,
Okay,
but we
excellent.
do not share the information outside of that.
That's
and we
fair.
do not take pictures of persons. That's another thing we want to know. We may take pictures of donors who wants, sometimes to highlight the business and so forth. We can get more into that later. But the main thing is that we want to let people know we're not here to show you up. We're not here to let anyone know that you're in line. This is all confidential, your information that is given. We guard that.
And for, again, the recipient or the person reaching out for assistance, it's already in them. They're already embarrassed to know that they're actually going for help because they find themselves in a tough spot.
Yes.
And then it's worse for whatever reason. Then there's photo ops.
Yes.
That's not at all.
That's right.
Pleasing.
So that would not be. And we are
Exactly.
also
Not acceptable.
And nobody's allowed to be taking pictures while we're there either. And because we want to protect the identity of the person.
Exactly.
As I said, it's humbling enough just being there.
Okay. We're going to take a little break. We're going to take a break to pay some bills. When we come back, more from the Cayman Food Bank with Mr. Philip Heyer.
Call them at 949-6211.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Ethel Rose Kensington Cook Bawden, Certificate of Honor. Ethel Kensington was born in Devon, England. She moved to Grand Cayman in 1945 with her second husband, Eric Cook Bawden, and her two sons, Ralph Kensington Loft and Eden Cook Bawden. After the passing of her husband in 1955, she owned and single-handedly operated the Yankee Notion Shop, the English Shop, and Caymanian duty-free shop at Owen Roberts Airport, as well as many other investments. She is recognized as Cayman's first businesswoman and strongly supported the development of tourism and aviation here. Soon after settling in Cayman, she became involved with the development of the Georgetown Hospital. She often provided food, supplies, and linens for the sick and organized Easter and Christmas gifts for the patients. She founded the Grand Cayman British Red Cross and was its main supporter for many years. She was a volunteer at the Georgetown Library. She organized and sponsored the first Miss Cayman Islands beauty pageant and was very active in the struggle for women suffrage.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Rotary Central supports our National Gallery, now open free to the public, providing access to healing, renewal, and reflection through the arts. An opportunity to visit, to traverse Cayman Memory Lane, heritage, faces, places, voices, fabric, glimpsing a wider dimension of who we are, where we have come from. Join us at the National Gallery. You will see the Island of Women exhibition featuring 26 local artists exploring invaluable contributions that Caymanian women have made to developing Caymanian society. See the remarkable Bendel Heights Acquisition Showcase. Bendel is our Picasso. View salt water in their veins, a new exhibition featuring 45 local artists as they explore Cayman's legendary relationship with the oceans of the world. The National Gallery of the Cayman Islands. 8 exhibitions currently on show between Cayman Brac, Grand Cayman, and virtual tours online. The National Gallery in full compliance with safe distance and health requirements. Book your visit in advance to avoid waiting for entry. Call 945-8111. Rotary Central and the National Gallery of the Cayman Islands. Supporting wellness, healing in reflection. Rotary opens opportunities.
Our family at Cayman Insurance Center wishes to extend our heartfelt gratitude to the community for your loyal patronage during these challenging times. For 46 years, Cayman Insurance Center has worked to protect your family, and whilst our doors have been closed due to COVID-19, our staff are working remotely to serve your insurance needs. Whether you need to get a quote, renew a policy, or file a claim, Cayman Insurance Center is here to protect you and your family. Your family's health is everything. Please do all that you can to protect it. From our Cayman Insurance Center family to yours, stay safe, stay Cayman strong. Thank you for supporting small and medium-sized businesses here on island.
Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, health, and other lines of insurance products and services at affordable rates. Call them at 949-4657.
The Hamady family are deeply saddened to announce the passing of Robert Hamady. Due to strict government regulations, the funeral and processions taking place on Thursday, the 16th of July, will be family only to keep clearly under 25 people. Please join us on a live stream feed at 10 a.m. We're making them available at robbieyoungatheart.com and the Tortuga Facebook page.
As the community continues to take precautions from COVID-19, it is important to stay prepared for other disasters now that we're in the hurricane season. Here are some post-hurricane safety tips from the Department of Environmental Health. Some tinned food items may still be safe for consumption after contact with flood water. However, tins must then be immersed in a solution made of 2 tablespoons of chlorine bleach per gallon of water for 10 minutes. Ensure that containers are air-dried before opening. For full guidance on post-hurricane safety tips, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
Business Buzz with your host, Sabrina Turner. Business Buzz with your host, Sabrina Turner.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz and keeping the spotlight on the Cayman Food Bank this morning, and I'm pleased to have in studio telling us more Operations Manager Mr. Philip Heyer. Now, let's get into the network, the process for donating. I want you to explain what is the process like for corporations or organizations who would like to donate to this organization.
Yes. Again, thanks for having me, Sabrina.
Sure, it's a pleasure.
And welcome, Cayman, to the Buzz. Concerning donations from volunteers, from anyone, we get corporate donations, whether it be in monetary donations. We have food donations like from the supermarkets. Mm-hmm. And there's a general perception at times that the food that has been given out is food that is probably not wanted, it's waste, it's no good. And it's far from the truth. Yes, we do give food out, or we do get supplies that's the date is already passed, but it doesn't mean that it is spoiled. It is still good for human consumption. Also may have goods that's the tin, like a tin of milk, for example, the tin is dented. It's dented. So what we do, we will still give that out. Because remember, this is coming from supermarkets and places that you can't expect them to give you the best of what they have. But at the same time, it may not be good to be for selling and or to be on the shelf. So when they give it to us, we go through it to make sure it's good for human consumption, give it to the pantries, and then the pantry gives out. On the other hand as well, we are spending over approximately an average $8,000 per week on grocery items that we do give out.
This is just a top-up what
This
is
is
donated.
top of what is donated, because what is donated from the supermarket is not sufficient, enough to give for the demand. The demand is more than the supply at all times.
Now, what are ways in which individuals can donate to the food bank? That's one thing, you have organizations, but what if individuals hearing about this and having a better understanding of the difference of a food bank versus a pantry, and they want to donate?
Well, we do have a website, www.caymanfoodbank.com. And if you were to read through the website, it tells you different ways that you can donate. You can donate monetary via PayPal. Also, we have a local account, CMB Bank, that you can donate online. That's when it comes to money. And you also can donate your time as a volunteer.
Right.
And I'll just touch in, piggyback on saying that while someone's donate, you're not just donating, you also get something in return, because the benefits. Yeah, the benefits is, for example, as a volunteer, when it's time for PR, it's required that you get points, for when you give your time to a volunteer organization. And so that's one of the benefits for that. As a corporation, we do social media. We put it on our food bank page on our website, and unless you request, for us not to do it, we won't, because some people want to be silent donors, and we do appreciate that. We protect that identity, and but there are so many ways you can just come and you can help to pack bags, to give out, to hand out. And during COVID especially, we're still in it, and hopefully get out of it pretty soon. But we had over 30 volunteers who are actively out there every day. The Cayman Islands Food Bank, the Cayman Food Bank was the only organization that actually gave out food every single day. And I must really thank the volunteers, because they've been so dedicated, at the task and expecting nothing in return. But we gave out in 1 month over 5,000 meals. Wow. So while some people cannot come out to us, we were going to them. And then on the Wednesday and the Saturdays, we were giving out grocery bags. And by the way, we must thank the governor. The governor came out one Saturday morning, very early in the morning, from 7, just before 7. And he came and he thanked the volunteers. He thanked the organization. And he helped to distribute grocery bags to the community. So I do salute Mr. Roper for coming out that day.
Again, we're all one at the end of the day.
That's right.
And it's all about being, having that part in you and giving back. And there's so much reward from giving back.
Definitely.
And like what you rightfully say, the volunteers and the role that they play. It's one thing of getting the points and being acknowledged for you, coming into the community, wanting to be into the community, but just sticking with it even after the fact.
That's correct.
It is also key and shows really who you are as an individual. Now, when you look at the amount of repatriation flights that have actually happened during and most recently, have you seen those lines somewhat diminished?
Yes, for two reasons. People are out working again.
Yes.
And so where we used to give out on the Wednesday and on the Saturdays, we are now cut it back down to the Saturdays.
Okay.
I mean, there's still over 300 per week. And there are people that we take groceries to that are shut in at times. But yes, there's definitely a decrease. And we would hope that it continue to decrease. But on the other hand,
the needs are still there.
The needs are still there. And so, that's what's happening. And we still want people to feel comfortable. And talking about volunteers, I must emphasize that a lot of Caymanians are coming out to be volunteers in the Cayman Islands Food Bank. So it's not just expatriates.
Thank God.
I must say that.
Now, what is in store for the Cayman Food Bank in the future? Because time is against us, and this conversation is very good. I think we're going to have to get you back some updates just to see exactly what's going on.
Well, the future outlook of the Cayman Islands Food Bank, of the Cayman Food Bank, rather, is that we want to continue to be of service to the community. We want the community to take ownership. This is your food bank. This is your organization to help those who are in need. This is your opportunity to serve, to give back. And we would, in the future, we want to establish food pantries in all the schools. We have already started at Sir John A. Cumber Primary in West Bay. We have a sponsor who has given monetary donation every month to ensure that no child in the school should ever go hungry. And not just in the schools, but we want to make sure that no child ever go to bed hungry in the Cayman Islands. We want to alleviate hunger.
That's
in the Cayman
right.
Islands.
Mr. Heyer, thank you for chatting with me this morning and allowing us to put the spotlight on the Cayman Food Bank. And again, for more information, you can visit their website, www.caymanfoodbank.com, or you can give them a call. That's 926-6111 or 946-1840. It is a pleasure, and I wish you all success in your team as we educate our community exactly what the food bank is all about, your whole mission and purpose, and how it's far-reaching to everyone who are here in the Cayman Islands. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you, Cayman, for tuning in. And on behalf of the Board of Directors, the volunteers, and everyone that is a part of the Cayman Islands of the Cayman Food Bank, a big thank you. God bless you, and let's together stamp out hunger.
Thank you. Stay tuned for Radio Cayman for a time check news, and after the news, we will be speaking with attorney Lisa Donalds about all areas of family law.
Thank you, Sabrina. And studio time now by Foster's is a minute after 8.
At Foster's, you can save big on your groceries.
This week, we have Essential Everyday Almond Milk, $3.99 each. Save $1.30. Colgate Optic White Toothpaste, $3.49 each. Save up to $5.50. And Ocean Spray Juices, 4 for $5. Save $1.76 on 4.
Price is good July 9th to the 22nd, 2020. For more big savings, pick up our weekly specials flyer in-store or visit fosters.ky. Foster's. Better prices because we care.
The 8 a.m. News is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Did you know that with the COVID-19 Emergency Withdrawal Program, we reviewed over 12,000 member applications in May, approved over 8,000 applications, and paid over CI $90 million to our members from June 12th onwards? We are the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan, and we're here for you. For further information regarding the Emergency Withdrawal Program, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. The Health Insurance Standing Committee releases a statement on the Premium Payment Assistance Program. Radio Cayman's Dion England has the details.
As you heard right here on Radio Cayman, where the Minister for Health addressed concerns from members of the community about the Health Insurance Premium Payment Assistance Program, the Health Insurance Standing Committee released a statement on the Premium Payment Assistance Program, saying that as of last week, Thursday, July 9th, approved health insurers received a list of candidates approved by the Ministry of Health for participation in the Premium Payment Assistance Program for the months of April 2020 and May 2020. On the same day, all approved health insurers were given instructions on where to submit the invoices. As of Tuesday, July 14th, all approved health insurers have submitted the invoices to the Ministry of Health. The Health Insurance Standing Committee remain committed to working with the Ministry of Health to support their clients through this difficult time. Upon receiving notice of the approved candidates for participation in Premium Payment Assistance Program for the month of June 2020, the approved health insurers will issue the invoices. For questions, you can contact the Health Insurance Standing Committee of the Cayman Islands Insurance Association at hisc@ciia.ky. Reporting for Radio Cayman News, I'm Dion Anglin.
Water Authority Cayman is upgrading the water supply infrastructure over the weekend. This particular roadwork will start on Sunday at 8 a.m. and continue until 2 p.m. on Elgin Avenue. Customers along Elgin between Cricket Square and the Hospital Road intersection and portions of Claude Hill Road will experience intermittent service interruption during this period. One lane of the Hospital Road will be closed to facilitate the works, and southbound traffic from Elgin to Hospital will be permitted, though. Motorists needing to travel to Elgin through Hospital Road from the Walkers Road Smith Road intersection can use an alternate route by driving along Smith Road and then turning onto Claude Hill. The Water Authority is apologizing for any inconvenience. Nonprofit organizations like Meals on Wheels on the island are known for working around the clock, but when COVID struck, no one could have expected the workload it would add to their schedules.
We are a household name. It is a name that during lockdown I think has become even more important. In the first 24 hours, we got 200 new referrals for people crying out for food assistance.
General Manager Jennifer West said COVID quickly changed the circumstances for many in the community.
They weren't sure where they were going to get food from, or they had no transportation. And even over the weeks of lockdown, what we got were more and more neighbors referring someone who they were either able to assist before, but they themselves found themselves without the means to do so, or they noticed seniors in their neighborhood who didn't have their own transportation to get to the grocery store. So during COVID, we realized that our need in the community will never reduce. It will only continue to increase.
Numbers doubled during the COVID-19 pandemic, but as things slowly return to normal, the added demand has subsided for Meals on Wheels.
We have seen some reduction as the younger families that we took on have been able to go back to work. But the reality is that the people that we serve, unfortunately, because they are vulnerable, we will have to continue to serve the grand majority of the people that we are giving meals to on a daily basis.
Ms. West added that the mission is still the same for Meals on Wheels, and they will continue to feed the community. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller.
BBC News with Aaron Safir. Shamima Begum, who left Britain as a schoolgirl to support the Islamic State group in Syria, has won her case to return to fight a government decision to revoke her UK citizenship. The appeal court said she had not had a fair chance to present her case from the camp in northern Syria where she's being held. Armenia and Azerbaijan have accused each other of breaking a fragile ceasefire after a lull in hostilities that have cost 16 lives since Sunday. Both sides said shells and mortars had been fired across the border in Armenia. The Iraqi security forces are reported to have killed 3 senior Islamic State militants. They include Omar al-Qahtani, a figure described as the group's self-declared governor of the Baghdad region. King Felipe of Spain has led the nation and international leaders in a state memorial ceremony to honour its coronavirus dead in Madrid. In a televised address, he said thousands of citizens had shown exemplary moral and civic values in the ways they'd responded to the disease. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Did you know that with the COVID-19 Emergency Withdrawal Program, we reviewed over 12,000 member applications in May, approved over 8,000 applications, and paid over CI 90 million to our members from June 12th onwards? We are the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan, and we're here for you. For further information regarding the Emergency Withdrawal Program, visit chamberpension.ky, and for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
The Hamady family are deeply saddened to announce the passing of Robert Hamady. Due to strict government regulations, the funeral of July will be family only to keep clearly under 25 people. Please join us on a live stream feed at 10 a.m. We're making them available at robbieyoungatheart.com and the Tortuga Facebook page. We appreciate your support.
At Kirk's Home Center, make your life much better. We got it all together. We store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. Herb's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
The Weather Report is proudly sponsored by Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
New stock has just arrived at Super Stitch. Now don't take my word for it, drop by and see for yourself. Fresh off the boat, we have loads of fabric, vinyl upholstery fabric, fabric for cushions, outdoor fabrics, and dress fabric. That's not all. Super Stitch has sewing accessories and craft items. Included in the new shipment, you will find sheets, comforters, throw pillows, bath mats, rugs, and curtains for every room in your home. Super Stitch, 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best price in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Good morning. Time now for the latest weather report. Current temperature is 86 degrees. Relative humidity is 81%. Barometric pressure 29.95 inches and rising. The wind is out of the northeast at 7 knots. Overnight low temperature was 76 degrees. Synopsis indicate light to moderate east to northeast winds and slight to moderate seas are expected over the Cayman area for the next 24 hours. As a ridge of high pressure lingers northwest of the Caribbean Sea. Showers over the western Caribbean will continue to help reduce the hazy conditions across the Cayman area over the next few days. Radar images show scattered showers over the Cayman area, mainly to the south of Grand Cayman, which will continue to move towards the southwest. Now the forecast for today, calling for partly cloudy and hazy skies, with a 30% chance of afternoon showers and possible thunder. Temperatures will rise to the low 90s. It's going to be a hot day. Winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate, with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Pretty much the same for tonight, partly cloudy and hazy skies, with a 30% chance of showers and possible thunder, and temperatures will dip to the low 80s tonight. Your winds will be east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate, with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Today's low tide will occur this afternoon at 12:58, high tide again tonight at 7:59. The sun will set this evening at 5 minutes past 7 and will rise tomorrow morning at 5:57. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Saturday morning.
Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center was the proud sponsor of the Weather Report, your one-stop shop for all of your household items, craft items, jewelry, beads, and decorations, and much more. Call Super Stitch at 949-2833 or email customer care at superstitch.com.ky.
Super Stitch. We are known for our amazing fabrics, top quality tailoring, and dressmaking. But did you know that we also carry trimmings, glitter, sequins, acrylic paints for fabrics and craft, floral wire, glues, markers, foam balls, and assorted ribbons? Yes, we do. You have a do-it-yourself project? Just pop into Super Stitch and see what we have in store for you. There is a craft item for your every need.
My favorite, the beads, glass ones, flat, and even those shell ones.
Super Stitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road, still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at what's happening traffic-wise. Coming from the east on Shamrock Road and the Linford Pearson Highway, traffic is steady but flowing. Steady traffic on Crew Road. From the West Bay 4-way stop, moderate flow of traffic, and heading towards the West Bay 4-way stop. Traffic is light. Light traffic as well on Owen Roberts Drive. As we look to Edward Street and Shedden Road, traffic flowing moderately. On the West Bay Road and from the Ritz, traffic is moderate in both directions. and on North Sound Road as well. Looking towards Godfrey Dixon Way and Eastern Avenue traffic flowing pretty good. That's the very latest on the traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll give you another traffic report. Remember, click it or ticket. Have a good morning.
Our subs made your way with multiple ordering and delivery options. Subway is making it easy for you to enjoy your favorite sandwiches, pizzas, and salads by offering delivery until 10 p.m. from West Bay to Boddentown. $5 delivery fee, no minimum order. Call the Subway location nearest to you or simply WhatsApp your order to 929-4658. You can also order Subway from Let's Eat or the Bento app, or visit our Anderson Square, Centennial Towers, West Shore Center, Industrial Park, East End, Windham, and Countryside Shopping Village. Visit Subway Cayman's Facebook and Instagram page for current store hours. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Healthcare Pharmacy cares about your health. Our Grand Harbor location is open Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., and on Sundays from 10 to 6. Our Governor Square Pharmacy on 7 Mile Beach is open from Monday to Saturday, 9 till 6. Ensure you wear a mask when entering and practice safe distancing. To refill or transfer prescriptions, call ahead or visit healthcarepharmacy.ky or WhatsApp on 329-7313.
Wow, looks good. What is that?
Chicken chair.
What did you just say to me?
Chicken chair.
I am not a chicken.
Whoa! I said chicken share. It's from KFC. Bucket of 12 hot wings, 6 pieces of chicken, or 8 tenders. KFC chicken share. Just $12 each.
Oh.
Want some chicken, tenders, or hot wings?
You're sharing your chicken share with me?
The new chicken share from KFC, just $12 each, and it's finger-licking good. Dine at KFC Baytown Plaza, KFC Shedden Road, or KFC at the Strand.
Business Buzz with your host, Sabrina Turner. Business Buzz with your host, Sabrina Turner.
Good morning and welcome back to Radio Cayman's Business Buzz. I'm your host, Sabrina Turner, and you know this show would not be possible without this kind sponsorship and continued sponsorship of Cayman Insurance Center, celebrating 46 years in property life and other lines of insurance products and services, and also Cayman Medical Supplies. We want to thank them for their continued support. In this segment, I am pleased to put the spotlight on Phoenix Legal, and I am pleased to have in studio with me attorney Miss Lisa Donalds, who is going to tell us, we're going to talk about various topics relating to family law, legal advice pertaining to divorces, domestic violence protection, children's arrangements, guardianships, and wills. Curious about all of this, we are asking you to keep it locked right here at 89.9 FM to the Business Buzz for more. Welcome to our show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure. Now, tell us a little bit about your company, like when it was founded, and a little bit about yourself before we go into the types of services that you offer.
Well, the firm was founded in 2019, established in specifically October is when I was fully licensed, and my mission is to provide accessible legal advice to the community. I have worked in other offshore Magic Circle firms before. I did my training specifically with Appleby. I've worked in government. I've worked at SEMA. So I've had a lot of broad range of experience. And then I've also worked at the portfolio of legal affairs. But now I've decided to specialize specifically in family law.
Okay.
One of the additional trainings that I've actually done is specifically for the domestic violence intervention training program. And I think that allows me to be empathetic and especially to work with applicants who need protection from domestic violence, if that's a service that they're looking for.
Sure. So you're an entrepreneur.
I am.
You've left the comforts of being an employee to being self-employed. How easy or difficult was that for you to step out on your own?
Honestly, if you ask my mother, that's something that she would say has been within me since I was a child. And that's something that I always said that I was going to do. It's been a dream of mine to run my own business. It's interesting to see how this journey has played out so far.
Right.
I was the child that said I would never do law. So it's interesting now that I am a practitioner because of people probably recognize the last name. I will fully acknowledge it. My mom is a retired magistrate, so I've grown up in a family with a lawyer and an entrepreneur. My dad is a retired steel contractor. So I had the two different experiences, and I've now kind of married the entrepreneurship from my dad and the legal mind from my mom, and have created this business.
Well, which is a good storm, actually, to have.
It is.
Now, being founded in 2019, and here we are, the dreaded 2020, how have this impacted your business, and what has it brought out of you for that drive, that zeal for continuity?
Honestly, I was founded in the sense of that I got my licensing in October 2019, but I fully started marketing and truly started to put the public face to the firm in May of this year, 2020. So in the middle of COVID.
In the middle of it. Good for you.
In the middle of COVID is when I started to market.
Good for you.
And I have honestly seen an uptick in clients. It's been very busy. Clients are because of COVID, clients are actually going through a significant transition in their lives, and they're trying to reorganize their lives and make sure things are the way that they want them to be. And it's actually been quite busy. So
I got to ask, what has been the greatest demand so far? Because we've had the opportunity to sit down in a shelter in place, reassess ourselves, take a look at our surroundings, revalue what the true meaning of family and life is as a whole, understanding in a second it can be taken from us. What has been the greatest demand for your services?
Unfortunately, no one is going to like this answer, but it's been divorces. It's been divorces. That's actually been the most popular service that's been accessed. And I think it's because couples have had that period of time to reevaluate where they stand because they've spent significant periods of time together. And unfortunately, they've decided that it's now time to move on. So they're recreating their lives based on the terms that are important to them. And it's looking like they don't necessarily want to stay together in the relationships that they had initially created because their values may have changed.
Right. Well, I'm an optimist, and you think it just could be from the fact that we've been locked down for 3 solid months and you're just frustrated, and maybe during the process they may realize what they're getting rid of and not sure what they're going to get.
Well, I don't necessarily... Most of the divorces that I've actually been processing are actually quite amicable.
Okay.
It's not the contentious where parties are fighting and everyone is... There's
You've made their mind up.
They've made their mind up. They've come to a division of assets. So they've decided to divide their property in a particular way. They've come up with what their proposals are for if they have children, the upbringing of their children. So it's more of a reevaluation of their life.
Oneself.
And exactly. And what is important to them, and it may not necessarily be defined in the marriage that they had initially created.
Okay. Well, that's fair. Nay, and if it works for them and everybody's happy and the children are taken care of, that's key. But for some reason, I would have thought it would have been wills.
I've only seen one will, to be honest, at this point in time. Yeah, that's the only one. It's truly been an uptick in
divorces.
Well,
let's talk whether or not you want to go there and there's a swing. Maybe people will understand the importance of them. Yes. Let's talk about what is a will and why it's beneficial to a person to have, understanding the complexities of life, the entire climate that we're living in right now, the uncertainty, and making sure that you have a voice when you're no longer with us or no longer able to communicate or make decisions for yourself.
Well, you've covered the key points there. But specifically, a will is a legal document, and it's prepared by an individual, and it allows the world to have that individual's instructions to be executed. So specifically, a will is prepared by someone who's called a testator. That's the individual preparing the will. And the person that follows the instructions is called an executor or executors. And they divide the individual's assets after death or follow instructions if they're minor children to, say, appoint a guardian, and if there's no parent or no person with parental responsibility.
So when should a person make a will? What do you think is the best time to make a will?
I advise my clients that if they're over the age of 18, they can make a will at any time during their adult life, as long as they have capacity, meaning that they are of sound mind. And then, but a will is revoked if upon a change, like if you get married,
Right.
that previous will, you need to make a new will if you get married. And I always advise my clients that if you get divorced, if things change in a significant way, make a new will then.
What are the formalities that are required with a will? Is there a lot of work?
The formalities of a will are you should do your will in writing, definitely, and it should be witnessed by at least two persons that are not beneficiaries, or beneficiaries meaning they're not receiving gifts under the will.
Okay. So pretty much having a list, an itemized list of all of your assets is key?
It's actually better, I advise, that clients do their wills in a general fashion, so it captures all of their assets.
Instead of itemizing.
Instead of itemizing, because if you itemize it, then it will fall into what's called your residuary estate. If you just do it in a general fashion, it will capture everything, and you can then apportion it out to who you want it to go to.
Okay, so let's say someone has made a will. What happens next?
After the will is witnessed and signed by the person, the testator, and witnessed, then 2 copies are usually prepared. If it's prepared by a lawyer will keep 1 copy, and then the testator keeps the other copy.
And God forbid somebody dies and they didn't prepare a will, or just outright said, I'm not interested. Once I'm gone, y'all have to deal with it. What happens?
Then presently the law that governs that situation is Succession Law 2006, and that regulates the division of property, and it allows primarily the property to go to the next of kin. But if there's no next of kin, that's the absolute default position, is the property then transfers to the government.
Wow. What is the difference between a living will and a last will?
A living will provides instructions to your family, your next of kin, if you lose capacity, which I previously mentioned is if you are not of sound mind. So, for example, if you're in a coma and your family needs instructions like to say this person does not want to be resuscitated or they want to be resuscitated, it provides medical instructions as to how that individual would like their
medical care
to be dealt with. Exactly. And the last will deals with the division of property, and if they're minor children and there's no parent with parental responsibility, the appointment of a guardian.
So can I leave my assets to anyone?
You can, anyone or any entity that has a separate legal existence.
Now, what are there any provisions at all that can be taken clearly exclude someone from a will, and or can it be challenged or contested if someone is left behind, is not pleased with my desires and wishes?
So you can clearly exclude someone, but it's easier to draft a will to be inclusive, to appoint all the persons that you want to receive assets. But if someone feels as though they should have benefited under a will and did not receive a gift that they were expecting, they could challenge it on the grounds of undue influence. They may say that someone was influencing the testator inappropriately, or that the testator did not have sound mind at the time the will was drafted, which is you'd have to establish that, either go to the witnesses of the will or other family members to get affidavits to say okay, this person didn't have capacity.
Once a will is done, can it be changed, amended?
It can be changed. That allows, you have the flexibility of creating a will and changing a will at any point. Specifically, it's called revoking the initial will and preparing a new one.
Okay. If you're just joining us, good morning. You're in tune to Radio Cayman's Business Buzz, and this is our second segment as we put the spotlight on, on Phoenix Legal. And I am pleased to have in studio with me Miss Lisa Donalds. Now, this company was founded in 2019, and it is established by Miss Donalds, and with the mission of providing accessible legal advice to the community. Now, Miss Lisa obtained her legal experience by working with other offshore Magic Circle firms and the portfolio of legal affairs, as she stated at the entry. We're going through and we're covering some topics this morning as it relates to divorces, domestic violence protection, children's arrangement, guardianship, and we have just covered wills. Now, let's talk a little bit about adoption. and children and legal arrangements, but I think we've got to take a little break to pay some bills here, and then we'll definitely include that along with divorce, since that has been the greatest demand whilst you launched and put a face to your organization. Very interesting facts here on Radio Cayman's Business Buzz. We'll be right back after these messages.
Oh gosh.
Don't let the stress of taking care of loved ones get you down.
Home care, now made easier with Cayman Medical Supplies. 100% Caymanian owned. Cayman Medical Supplies now stocks a wide range of home care supplies. Hospital beds, all types of wheelchairs, including beach access wheelchairs, lifts, commodes, shower chairs, walkers, Curad brand orthopedic supplies. Free blood glucose monitors with the purchase of 1 pack of test strips, blue underpads, and a whole lot more.
Need home care convenience? Drop by Cayman Medical Supplies at 93 Smith Road, Windward Center, or call 949-6211. Free delivery.
We know there has been a lot of changes, and Cayman Medical Supplies is here for the community. From gloves and sanitizers to mandatory supplies, including masks. Hours are now Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. till noon. Free delivery island-wide.
Digicel is all about giving customers more convenience, more peace of mind, and more flexibility. Do more with the new My Digicel app. Buy plans, pay your bill, track your credit, track your data, and monitor your accounts. It's easy to use and has everything you need in one place. It's time to simplify your life, so go ahead and see for yourself. Download the new My Digicel app today. More made simple.
The Hamady family are deeply saddened to announce the passing of Robert Hamady. Due to strict government regulations, the funeral and processions taking place on Thursday, the 16th of July, will be family only to keep clearly under 25 people. Please join us on a live stream feed at 10 a.m. We're making them available at robbieyoungatheart.com and the Tortuga Facebook page. We appreciate your support.
Business Buzz with your host, Sabrina Turner. Business Buzz with your host, Sabrina Turner.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz as we keep the spotlight on Phoenix Legal with Miss Lisa, that's attorney Lisa Donalds. Now let's go straight into it. Let's talk a little bit about the services you offer relating to adoption and children legal arrangements. Tell us about that.
So specifically, adoption is a legal process where a child either gains a new parent or new parents. And then generally, children's legal arrangements covers a variety of legal processes. Mm-hmm. There's many. So they're residence, contact, and financial provision order applications. So specifically, residence order applications regulate where a child lives. Contact order applications regulate who may visit a child. And financial provision order applications regulate who maintains a child financially.
Mm-hmm. So have you, when you know, for example, what is there a document that is really needed if they're, example, two unmarried parents have child or children? What does the law state as it pertains to those children? Who's the primary care and control over those kids?
Well, it depends on, the mother always has parental responsibility. That's just,
no matter what.
No matter what, mothers always have parental responsibility. Unmarried fathers, it depends on whether or not they're named on the birth certificate. If unmarried fathers are named on the birth certificate, then they automatically have parental responsibility for the child or children.
But living where the child cohabitates.
Living, now, we don't have de facto like residence orders or contact orders. If there's a dispute as to where a child lives, it's best, and the parents can agree a schedule as to what's the best
for the child
interest for the child, then that dispute would have to be resolved in court.
What about simple family vacations? Meaning we can't go anywhere now, but we can go to the BRAC. Do you need something from the father if it is a scenario like that for that kid to go to the BRAC?
In inter-island travel, you wouldn't necessarily need permission because that it would be best just in the sense of having common courtesy between two parents. But technically, you would not need permission to go between the sister islands and to travel between the islands because that's not leaving the jurisdiction.
It's another district.
Exactly. However, leaving the jurisdiction and for more than, if there's a residence order in place, for more than 28 days, if you want to leave for a longer period of time, you do need to get permission from the other parent. Because that would be considered more a move than just a vacation.
Okay. What circumstance would warrant a child being removed from a household, and what kind of representation do you offer in this regard?
Circumstances that typically where government will step in and consider the removal of a child from a household is if there's physical abuse, sexual abuse, or neglect. Those are the three primary scenarios when government considers to remove a child from a household. And the services I would offer would be to represent the family who is having that. It's called a public care order application.
Mm-hmm.
And I would offer services to represent the family's interests, to ensure that those interests are heard and protected. There are many agencies that are actually involved in the removal of a child from a household. Typically, if the police receive a report that a child is experiencing some form of harm, that report is then referred to the multi-agency safeguarding hub, who would do an investigation.
Mm-hmm.
The hub is comprised, which you probably know, of social workers and police officers. So they investigate, and then the social workers would prepare a report. That report would then be used for the basis to make, it's specifically called a C1 application.
Right.
And that application is then referred to the legal department and government, which would have to assess whether or not there's significant harm that the child is experiencing. And if legal, in its opinion, considers that the child is experiencing significant harm, then the case would be taken to court.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be on that side. Now I'm on the side of representing families to ensure that their interests are heard. But
that's good, because you would then have both.
Exactly.
You can see both sides.
See both perspectives. But
yes.
I truly do say that that's not government's intention to just go in and remove children.
Uh-huh.
That's a last resort. Government is actually very on the side of family reunification
Right.
and doing everything in its power to ensure that families actually stay together.
And it's all about stability, but in a healthy way as well.
Exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about guardianship and receivership applications. What is the legal definition of guardianship and receivership?
So a legal guardian is able to make medical decisions for an individual without capacity, meaning an individual who's lost their mental faculties.
Mm-hmm.
And a receiver is able to manage the property of an individual without capacity.
Okay. Are there any options if someone is opposed to guardianship?
It depends on what type of opposition you mean.
Right.
If it's the opposition of the person in question who is lost or is considered to have lost capacity, they would have to demonstrate to the court that they actually do have capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's opposition from the family to say that the person who's being considered to be the legal guardian or the legal receiver is not the inappropriate person, then they could make an application to say this person who's being proposed is an inappropriate person for X and Y reasons.
Okay. It's all about Phoenix Legal right here on Radio Cayman's Business Buzz in our second segment this morning, and we're talking about family law, legal advice for divorce, domestic violence protection, children's arrangements and guardianships, and we also dabbled a little bit in wills. Now, Ms. Donald's completed the Domestic Violence Intervention Training Program, which makes her an empathetic and skilled advisor for clients who require orders pursuant to the Protection for Domestic Violence Law 2010, which leads me straight into this. Understanding that you offer this service relating to domestic violence, tell us a little bit more about that.
So there are at least 3 different types of orders that could be applied for under the Protection from Domestic Violence Law.
Mm-hmm.
There's a protection order where there are various provisions, but primarily the one that most people relate to is to stay away from the applicant, so that the perpetrator stays away from the applicant. Then there's an occupation order, which prevents the perpetrator from remaining in the home of the applicant. And then there's a tenancy order, which requires the perpetrator to pay for the lease if the applicant relied on the perpetrator's ability to pay for the rent of the house.
Mm-hmm. So how have you, understanding that this is fairly new to legislation, how do you get that out there in your marketing, understanding that you started in the midst of a lockdown and people may be going through a lot of things emotionally? How are you able to explain that more of exactly what this means, the benefits of doing it right?
Well, in my marketing materials, I hope that I've conveyed things in layman's terms so that people can understand exactly what the process and procedure is,
Mm-hmm.
and to reach out to then have me actually walk them through the procedure and access the orders that they would need to organize their lives and to protect themselves to the best of the system's ability from domestic violence. Now, my website is the main marketing material that I have, but I do run ads on Facebook and Instagram.
And you're here.
Yeah, and I'm here.
Business
exactly,
Buzz. Yes.
on the Business Buzz. Exactly.
Now, understanding that men are prone just as much as women to domestic violence, how would you get it out there to not be ashamed, scared, to just come and seek for help?
Well, I partner or volunteer with the Family Resource Center. I specifically volunteer with League of Befrienders. So a lot of the clients that I actually encounter through League of Befrienders, if they need, League of Befrienders provides free legal advice to the community of the Cayman Islands, and it's a fantastic program for anyone who needs initial legal advice. You have lawyers from various backgrounds and walks of life that provide that advice. Now, if clients need representation and actually need legal work done, that's where, if they're not able to afford it, legal aid is available for situations of domestic violence.
Right.
And if finance is a concern, or finances are a concern, then a legal aid application could be made.
Right. Okay. You're in tune to Radio Cayman's Business Buzz that is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center and Cayman Medical Supplies. We'll be right back after these few messages, and we'll delve into divorce. And we'll also hear a little bit about pre- and post-nuptial agreements. I think those two come part and parcel. Yes, that's all here with attorney Lisa Donalds when we come back.
Our family at Cayman Insurance Center wishes to extend our heartfelt gratitude to the community for your loyal patronage during these challenging times. For 46 years, Cayman Insurance Center has worked to protect your family, and whilst our doors have been closed due to COVID-19, our staff are working remotely to serve your insurance needs. Whether you need to get a quote, renew a policy, or file a claim, Cayman Insurance Center is here to protect you and your family. Your family's health is everything. Please do all that you can to protect it. From our Cayman Insurance Center family to yours, stay safe, stay Cayman strong. Thank you for supporting small and medium-sized businesses here on island.
Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, health, and other lines of insurance products and services at affordable rates. Call them at 949-4657.
Oh gosh.
Don't let the stress of taking care of loved ones get you down.
Home care, now made easier with Cayman Medical Supplies. 100% Caymanian owned. Cayman Medical Supplies now stocks a wide range of home care supplies. Hospital beds, all types of wheelchairs, including beach access wheelchairs, lifts, commodes, shower chairs, walkers, Curad brand orthopedic supplies. Free blood glucose monitors with the purchase of 1 pack of test strips, blue underpads, and a whole lot more.
Need home care convenience? Drop by Cayman Medical Supplies at 93 Smith Road, Windward Center, or call 949-6211. Free delivery.
We know there has been a lot of changes, and Cayman Medical Supplies is here for the community. From gloves and sanitizers to mandatory supplies, including masks. Hours are now Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. till noon. Free delivery island-wide.
Help support survivors of domestic violence by believing them. Being there for them is one of the best things that you can do. Listen and hear what they need. Let them tell their story in their own way. When supporting persons experiencing domestic violence, maintain confidentiality. They have trusted you enough to share their story. Don't share it with others. If children are involved, alert the multi-agency safeguarding hub. Being there for survivors also means staying in touch. Create a code word or emoji, so if you receive or hear that from them, you will call 911. To help them, it's vital to talk to survivors about their options and help them to evaluate each one. And finally, remember that you cannot rescue survivors of domestic violence, but you can support them on their own terms. For additional support, please contact the Emergency Services, the Cayman Islands Crisis Center, the Family Resource Center, the Legal Befrienders Clinic, the Needs Assessment Unit in Grand Cayman or Cayman Brac, the Mental Health Helpline, the Kids Helpline, or the Department of Community Rehabilitation.
Business Buzz with your host, Sabrina Turner. Business Buzz with your host, Sabrina Turner.
Welcome back to the Business Buzz as I keep the spotlight and hear more from Phoenix Legal with attorney Miss Lisa Donalds, getting into a service that has come at great demand for her new business that was founded in 2019, definitely started marketed in the middle of COVID, which was in May, divorce. A topic that I'm quite sure in some cases people are very happy, move on if they can deal with it amicably, but we don't get into a union to get to this point. And I hope that, for those persons who have made that conscious decision and it's in their best interest, that, it works for them. But identifying that you have a problem, we're no longer suited for each other, and you can deal with it as two mature adults, that's good. But it's still a topic that we got to talk about, and it's a service that you offer. Now, does it make any difference who is the first to file for divorce?
I actually always advise my clients that it's better to file first if that's what you know you're going to do, because it's easier to control the process and allow the steps that are necessary to occur versus waiting and being reactive. It's actually easier to control the process. So if you've decided that this is what you want to do and you know that that's a decision that you made and you're certain in it, then yes, I do actually advise my clients to file first.
So are there things that parties involved should not do during a separation? And then you have cases where they're still remain together in the same home, even though they're separated, but on the surface it looks rather normal. Are there do's and don'ts during this situation?
Again, another one of the things that I say to my clients is please don't harass one another. Please actually give each other the space to be able to process what's happening and to either seek legal advice or emotional support from family and friends. Because if you are considered to be harassing one another, claims may be brought under the Protection Against Domestic Violence law if it actually escalates to that level. So the main piece of advice is give each other the space that you need. Even if you're living in the same household, try to, if you have the ability to have separate bedrooms, do the separate bedrooms and try and organize your lives as separately as possible.
Where it becomes a little bit more walking on eggshells or in a minefield is when there are kids involved. Sure. What advice? And again, do's and don'ts during that critical phase, because it's almost like a roller coaster. Some days you're up, some days you're down.
Again, another one of the things that I say to my clients is that I can handle your legal issues
right
to the best of my ability, definitely. But I always tell my clients that something they should consider, especially if there are kids involved, is to engage a therapist. Now, that will allow them to manage their emotions and really evaluate the significant life transition that they're going through. Especially if there are children involved, to be able to know how to educate and inform. And there are a lot of resources, free resources in the community that sometimes people aren't aware of.
Right.
There's a family resource center that's excellent for providing advice as to how to transition during a divorce and how to inform children. And then there's the Department of Counseling that provides free counseling for the community for any resident. And then the private services if someone wants to engage someone privately.
Now, what are the grounds upon which divorce may proceed?
There are actually 5 grounds in law which divorce may proceed. There's adultery, unreasonable behavior, desertion of the respondent for 2 years, separation for 2 years with consent, and separation for 5 years without consent.
So somebody just disappears. We got married, we're in love, I come home and I just got a letter. I'm gone. I can't deal with this anymore. 2 years has passed. They have not been on island, not supporting the marital home. After 2 years from the date of that notice or you becoming aware,
exactly,
I can get divorced.
You can get divorced. Yes.
So where this number of 5 years came out from?
So the 5 years one is separation without A separation, 5 years without consent, where the two parties are still involved in each other's lives, but they have knowingly separated for 5 years, and you don't need to get consent from the other party to say, yes, we have separated. You both just participate in the process.
Okay. What issues can arise, for example, if there are any children of the marriage?
Now, the issues that may arise if they're children of the marriage are who the children live with, figuring that out, how much time they spend with their parents, and what's the appropriate level of financial provision for the children. Those are the three main issues that have to be resolved or people may dispute over.
Okay. Now, when divorcing or separating, do partners have to go to court over child custody case, or can they reach an agreement otherwise?
This is the thing that I always try to educate the public on. Child custody in the traditional form does not exist anymore in the Cayman Islands in the way that we think of it. It's now being divided into two concepts of parental responsibility and then residence orders. So parental responsibility is the right to raise the child in any manner that the parent chooses. And that's, for example, like the right to name a child a particular name or the right to raise a child in a particular religion. And then residence orders regulate with whom a child lives. And you can go to court if there are disputes. If there's a dispute and it can't be reached, an agreement can't be reached outside of court, then yes, you will need to go through the court process. But if parents can reach an agreement outside of it, then that can be honored.
Wow.
That's why in COVID, I don't know if the public recognized that there were rules for court orders for families to allow visitation,
Yes.
and then separate agreements with families that didn't have a court order but had an agreement that they came up with. They probably hadn't put it ever in writing, but at that point in time, they would have probably needed to put it in writing just so they could demonstrate, yes, we're just moving because our kids live in two households.
And again, we're seeing more and more with the modernization and revising of our legislation that govern these islands. What used to be acceptable, just word of mouth, because of how we are a diverse community and just getting in line internationally. And you see the importance of that.
Yes.
Because religions may differ, preferences of whatever can differ.
Exactly.
And that may affect the rearing of one's child. And especially if you're not marrying one of your same culture.
Exactly.
The differences there varies. Interesting question I'm about to pose to you. Can children divorce their parents here in the Cayman Islands? Can they decide, I don't like Miss Grace Donaldson. I just want a divorce from her because she's pressured me too much. And now I'm an attorney.
So as far as I'm aware, we don't actually have legislation that
Okay.
allows children to emancipate themselves from their parents, like the U.S. provisions. I actually did the time to check and research and see, but no. We
Thank
don't
God.
have that on the books. So parents are legally responsible for their children up until the age of 18.
And after that, if they're still in school?
Now, this is where it can be a little interesting. Now, if, say, a consent order, which is an agreement between two parents that have divorced, or they don't have to be divorced, so it can just be an agreement between two parents that has court sanctioned on it. So it's been sanctioned by the court or approved by the court. That agreement can actually, say, financial provision can sometimes go up until the age of 21.
Right.
So that would be a legal responsibility that actually extends to the age of beyond the age of 18.
Okay. Now, what are some support options a spouse is entitled to receive to assist him or her post-divorce life?
Depends how we define post-divorce life. It could be post-separation. There's something that's called a maintenance and suit application. So that's where you can apply for temporary maintenance during the divorce, or specifically then what most people think of as spousal maintenance after the divorce, where it's possible for the lower income spouse to allow him or her to restart their life, and it's usually for a maximum of 3 years.
Okay.
Maintenance pending suit. It just clicked.
Okay.
That's the one.
It's early.
During.
I applaud you. It's really early. And, I feel and I hope that those of us who are listening to this interview this morning are more educated and more aware, not only of the services that you provide, but you've also been able to break it down as to what those services entail and why one would actually need A or B if they're not even understanding. Because one of the misunderstandings of persons seeking legal advice, especially with divorce, wills, things to deal with kids, or like you rightfully say, domestic violence, the fear of making that first step to seek help. We think that we gotta always have it right, know the proper lingo, know the correct terms. Just go and just be open, have an open conversation. And we hope that we were able to water this down as layman terms as possible so that we could give that understanding and educate our listening and viewing audience this morning. And I applaud you for how you've executed.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now let's talk about pre- and post-nuptial agreements. What is involved when it comes to pre- and post-nuptial agreements? And we've heard some mixed things, that it doesn't exist here because of our laws, that there's no sense of doing a pre-nup or a post-nup because it doesn't worth the paper that it's on. Please correct me.
Well, they're not formally recognized, and I will say yet. There may be a change in common law in the Cayman Islands. There's actually a case that's going through the courts and may actually go to the Privy Council where a prenup may be recognized specifically from the Cayman Islands. So, or I shouldn't say the Privy Council, the Supreme Court. They keep changing their name. But what you need to have, what a court would consider to see if a prenup or a postnup is valid is both parties have received independent legal advice before they enter into the agreement. Both parties have had sufficient time. Now, sufficient time isn't defined, but they've had sufficient time to consider the terms of the agreement, and no party is coercing the other party to enter into the agreement. So if there's any element or even suspicion of coercion, then that's not going to be considered a valid agreement.
Okay, interesting. So as we evolved in our legals and any public consultation on any documents, you would encourage right now for Caymanians, people and a whole, to just educate themselves?
Yes, definitely. And I am a fan of parties entering into these types of agreements because it actually allows for clarity, at least at a point, even if they may change their minds, but at one point in time there was clarity as to what they thought would be the appropriate division of property and proposals for the upbringing of children. So even if they get divorced or in the future and they consider, well, we don't want to be held by the terms of this agreement anymore, and that's a mutual decision, at least that there's a starting point where they can negotiate from.
Okay. Now, as we evolve with these pre- and post-nuptial agreements, do you feel that the courts may eventually, once legislation is in place or some policies or practices, regulations, whatever, that they may actually take into consideration what one party brought to the table before or at the time of the union? You think that those things will take into consideration, or it doesn't matter?
It really is what the parties agree, because we have the ability to freely contract. Now, with divorce, there are rules as to who brought in what.
Right.
But with pre- and post-nups, you have freedom of contract, which is the ability to choose, well, even though I may be the higher income earner, I'm quite happy to give you a portion of my wealth.
Understood.
Or protect and retain the wealth that I brought into the marriage. It really depends on what the parties have determined.
But again, before we self-diagnose which road we should go, how and why should people choose Phoenix Legal?
People should choose Phoenix Legal because the firm is accessible, collaborative, and empathetic. And I believe that allows the firm to be flexible on pricing and responsive to clients' needs. The firm brings compassion to difficult areas of law, and this ensures that our clients' interests are understood and protected. So that's definitely why I think people should choose Phoenix Legal.
Now, I know we've learned a lot about you and the services that Phoenix Legal provide today, but where are your offices located?
Our office is located in Regatta Office Park, specifically Windward 3. Now, a good landmark is the West Bay Police Station has relocated to Windward 3. They're on the second floor. I'm on the ground floor, specifically in a co-working space called Ready Spaces, Office 113.
Okay, good for you. And contact details, please.
The best way to reach me is actually by phone or email. My phone number is 929-4701. My email is lisa@phoenixlegal.ky. and my website is Phoenix Legal, www.phoenixlegal.ky.
Now, with the social distancing and all of that sort of stuff, and Zoom being the big way of communicating to people, how have you embraced technology, knowing that you're a new business and you're a new generation? I want to say millennial.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, I am.
How have you embraced it? It must be interesting when you sit down and you speak with your mom and she sees what she has gone through and where you are and where you're starting off with all of this technology quickly.
Yes.
How different is that?
Well, we've had very different experiences in the legal community for certain. Because my mom is a retired magistrate, she was on the judicial, she was on the bench. So she was making decisions and seeing the world from that perspective, whereas I'm practicing and seeing the world from a practitioner's perspective. And she is definitely, she is my consultant. She allows me to, she provides that sounding board and that oversight that any young practitioner would want for certain.
You're blessed.
I am very grateful for her guidance for certain. And the technology has allowed me to still connect with clients. So to have Zoom consultations. Actually, I'm finding my clients prefer to do over the phone rather than Zoom. It's being offered, but they're quite comfortable doing it over the phone. Good. So I'm like, okay.
It's the image.
Yeah, it is what it is. But now that the restrictions have eased, they actually, clients primarily want to come in face to face.
Okay.
So we do have social distancing. My office is big enough that we can, and
do
I
it
have
like
I
this.
do have a big enough table where we can sit with distance apart from one another, and they can actually let me know what their story is.
Okay. Ms. Donalds, it has been indeed a pleasure speaking with you, and congratulations on taking that big step and being an entrepreneur. And I want to wish you personally all success in your endeavors. And I know great things are going to come from you and all the services that you offer. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here. Thank you again.
For you, our listening audience, please join us again on Tuesday for another show. It has been my pleasure. And again, it would not be possible without our kind sponsorships of Cayman Insurance Center and Cayman Medical Supplies. Until Tuesday, have a safe and fabulous Thursday.
Business Buzz.
The Business Buzz is brought to you by Cayman Insurance Center, celebrating 46 years in the Cayman Islands, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And also brought to you by Cayman Medical Supplies. Call them at 949-6211.